Europe produces some of the best engineers in the world, but many of them don't stay. Each year, graduates from top institutions in Germany, France, Italy, the Netherlands, and the Nordics leave for the United States. Not because Europe lacks intelligence, not because ambition is missing, but because the system they enter rewards something different. This isn't a story about culture, it's a story about gravity. If you study artificial intelligence in Paris or Munich, your education is world-class. If you build a startup in Berlin, the technical depth is strong. If you research robotics in Zurich or Stockholm, you're working at the frontier. But when that company reaches a certain stage, when it needs large capital injections, hyperscale infrastructure, and global distribution, the center of gravity shifts, often westward. Look at the largest AI companies today. OpenAI is American. Anthropic is American. Most frontier AI labs operate within US capital markets. Even European-founded companies frequently move headquarters, incorporate in Delaware, or raise later-stage rounds in Silicon Valley. This isn't coincidence, it's structural. The United States has deeper venture capital pools. It tolerates higher failure rates. It rewards aggressive scaling. Europe, by contrast, is designed for stability. Labour protections are stronger. Regulatory oversight is tighter. Capital is more conservative. That produces resilience, but it can slow hyperscale expansion. Venture data over the past decade consistently shows that while Europe performs well in early-stage innovation, late-stage funding rounds are disproportionately concentrated in the United States. Early experimentation is healthy across Europe, but scaling capital, the kind required to create global tech platforms, is thinner. And scaling is where global giants are formed. This is not a failure of intelligence, it's a difference in design philosophy. Europe optimized for social cohesion. America optimized for capital velocity. When a founder chooses where to incorporate, they're not choosing weather or lifestyle. They're choosing financial infrastructure. They're choosing regulatory flexibility. They're choosing access to markets. And increasingly, they're choosing compute access. Frontier AI systems require enormous computational resources, high-end GPUs, massive cloud capacity, reliable energy supply. Those layers are concentrated. Companies like NVIDIA dominate advanced AI chip production. Cloud infrastructure is led by American hyperscalers, AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud. Even many European startups depend on these ecosystems. The deeper the infrastructure dependency, the stronger the gravitational pull. This is why talent movement is not random. It follows capital, it follows infrastructure, it follows regulatory structure. Consider Sweden. Spotify became a global company, but it listed publicly in New York. Consider European fintech firms that relocate legal entities to access US investors. Consider AI, startups that begin in Paris or Amsterdam, but shift operations once Series B funding requires scale capital. These are not emotional decisions, they are structural responses. Europe produces engineers, America captures scale. That distinction matters. But something more subtle is happening beneath the surface. Europe is investing heavily in digital sovereignty and AI governance. The EU AI Act reflects a preference for safety and oversight. Public funding into green technology and the research infrastructure continues to grow. The continent is not passive, it is deliberate. The tension is not capability, it is leverage. A talented engineer choosing between 90,000 euros in Berlin or a Silicon Valley package with equity upside is not making a moral decision. They are responding to capital asymmetry. Equity structures in US firms often provide significantly larger upside potential. Public markets reward growth differently. Risk tolerance varies, and compensation packages reflect that. Add to that the network effect. When frontier labs cluster in one geography, adjacent talent follows. When capital clusters, opportunity compounds. When infrastructure concentrates, gravity strengthens. This is how ecosystems scale, and this is why movement becomes self-reinforcing. Europe may not lack talent, but it lacks concentration of scaling infrastructure at the same magnitude. And scale is where power accumulates. This raises a deeper question. Is Europe trying to win the same game, or is it playing a different one? Because scale at all costs creates consequences: market concentration, platform monopolies, capital asymmetry, power centralization. Europe's model often resists those extremes. But individuals respond to incentives, not philosophy. Talent follows opportunity. Opportunity follows leverage. Leverage follows infrastructure. So, when people ask why so many smart Europeans leave, the answer isn't cultural decline. It's structural alignment. And that alignment increasingly revolves around who controls compute infrastructure, capital markets, cloud platforms, payment rails, energy capacity. Geography still matters, but infrastructure matters more. Europe produces talent. America captures it because infrastructure concentrates there. And that leads to the next layer. If infrastructure shapes opportunity, who controls that infrastructure? Because that's where real power sits. That's where we go next.